Paul from Residential Estates, and this is Hugh Davies from Cert Property. And this is a little video that we want to send out to our potential clients, because Residential Estates are about to launch one of Hugh's developments, and it's the first one we've done in Manchester for a while. We've worked with Cert Property before. In fact, our last 3 previous developments all went very well. But Manchester is somewhere, you know, bringing on developments, I've always been a little bit wary. I get offered lots every day, all in the city centre, and we have to base it with an investment company, so we should have to base its investment value, but we still know Manchester's got massive potential, and there are a lot of areas out there, so it's waiting for the right development sometimes, and this is what we're here to chat to you about, because we believe that Osborne House has got that potential. Sure. So we just want to go through visions, etc. It's not so much about the development, because obviously we can send you the information for that, but it's about the vision of what's happening in the area. We sometimes forget that obviously we ask you guys to invest in an area, but there are other sides to it. These guys have to invest a lot more than anybody else to do that, and then there's bigger companies than that who are investing into an area, and all that makes that area become an investment hotspot, or where we see potential and where we pass that potential on to you. So thanks for coming, Hugh.
You're very welcome.
It's very nice. It's not mastermind.
Yeah.
It's well.
You feel a little nervous? But...
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I mean, first of all, do you want to tell us a little bit about Cert Property and some of the things you've done before?
Yes, certainly. So Cert Property, we are a property development company based out of Manchester. We formed around about 2006, mainly working with third-party developers as a sales agent. Subsequently, came through the financial crisis, and then around about 2013-14, we started developing our own both residential and commercial sites. I think it was important for us as from a company level is that we didn't want to get pigeonholed as to be producing the same type of development over and over again. I call them McDonald's developments. You know, once you've been to one, you've been to them all.
Yeah.
And for that reason, we very much focus on, as I say, both residential and commercial. We may do a townhouse conversion for 4 apartments like we did in central Manchester, or we recently completed Insignia, which is a 90 apartment new build block. So we're doing something different all the time in different areas of the city. We've built now probably the best part of around about 400 to 450 units, residential units in Manchester. We've got a commercial portfolio in the region of around about 85 to 90 million pounds across the northwest between Liverpool and Manchester, primarily office buildings. And we're currently in planning across Manchester and Salford Council to the tune of around about 850 to 1,000 apartments. Again, in and around the Manchester and Salford area.
I think that's one thing we like working with you as well. That is, you are on the ground in Manchester.
Yeah. So
your ear is to the ground. You know, so it's always looking for those opportunities into it, and then because when we worked with you in Old Trafford and in Ancoats, those areas at that time were similar to where we're going to be looking at now.
Absolutely, they are regeneration areas. There's no two ways about it. As a developer, we very much are focusing. We're not a house builder. What we're looking at, we are very much an investment focused development company. Okay, so we're looking for the next best area, the next area of regeneration. Now, sometimes people do laugh at us because it may not be the most sparkly, sexy location in a city, but our investors certainly approve when 3, 4, 5 years down the track they've made substantial return on their investment, and that's what the game's all about.
Which we've got track records for. We can show that. Yeah.
Exactly, we do. So yes, we've started off. We've done various areas of the city centre. I think personally, certain areas of the city centre now is overpriced, especially on an investment basis. I think if we're buying for an owner-occupier, there's an emotional attachment there, and therefore, the prices could be justified to certain buyers. But for us, we're looking at areas that have got...
It's not your average buyer, though, is it? That's the thing.
It's not your average buyer. Yeah. So what we focus on is areas of regeneration where local authority have signed off on whether it's a regeneration master plan. We are heavily invested in Old Trafford. Old Trafford is undergoing a £350 million master plan, right in the heart of which are our 3 development sites. We've got another one that's just been approved in Stretford. Old Trafford Borough Council signed off on the master plan of the regeneration of the canal and the Stretford Mall. Guess where our site is? It's on the riverbank, on the bank itself of the water, it's called Royal Canal Works. And again, we've got Osborne Yard, which is part of the largest regeneration site in Manchester.
Their master plans are pittance compared to this one.
Yeah, this is the biggest one in Manchester. It's called the Northern Gateway. It's excuse me. It's a joint venture between Manchester City Council and the Far Eastern Consortium, also known as FEC, which is a Hong Kong listed company. And over the course of the next 15 years, they're going to be investing £4.5 billion in regenerating an area which they've named the Northern Gateway, which goes pretty much from New Cross, which is an area of Manchester. You and I typically would know it around as Noma, Northern Quarter, Victoria, that area, and then going sort of out northwest towards, northeast towards Collyhurst. In total, it's a 155 hectare site. As I said, it's a JV between Manchester City Council and FEC. And the interesting thing with this colossal regeneration is the fact that it's actually already been signed off. You know, it's not something that potentially is going to happen in the future. Yeah. They've actually already started working.
Not a marketing ploy.
Not a marketing ploy. It's all out there. All the white papers and everything's out there for public domain to see. They've actually already started breaking ground on phase 1, which is in the New Cross area, closest to the city. And then over the course of the next 15 years, they'll be progressing out amongst the 7 different areas of this Northern Gateway to finish at the top end of Collyhurst, as I say, in 15 years' time.
Yeah, I mean, and I would expect that the people watching this, if you live in a major city, so if you live in your Leeds, Birmingham, London especially, even abroad, you know, it's, in particular, London investors understand how this works.
Yeah.
You know, it's very simple. The fact is that the city centre becomes niche.
Yep.
You know, it gets
oversaturated as well.
Yeah.
And also the problem with the city centre is that it becomes unaffordable for a lot of people. So we've seen it happen. It's for those of you who don't know the geography of Manchester, there's a very simple way of looking at it. You know, you'll see this information that I'm sure Resi Estates will provide. Everyone wanted to live in city centre. They were priced out of city centre. They started going into an area of Manchester called the Northern Quarter. The Northern Quarter was the cool, the hip, the trendy area to live. And guess what comes with that is prices increase, demand increases, prices increase. The spillover from Northern Quarter is into an area called Ancoats. Ancoats, 7 years, 8 years ago, there'd be no way in the world that you'd go for a coffee. It would be an area that you would definitely avoid at all costs. Now, through regeneration and gentrification of the area, it's where every 20, 30 something wants to live, socialise, work, and subsequently people now of that demographic have been priced out of Ancoats as well. So the natural step now is going into South Collyhurst, which is where the Northern Gateway is, and Osborne Yard is.
Osborne Yard, sorry. And again, 6 years ago, and having lived in London, I would never class Manchester as anything like London, but I see the market very much as the same. So when I first went to London, everyone was talking about Shoreditch, and Shoreditch was somewhere I wouldn't walk at night.
Yep.
Now look at it, but it's progressed down now to zone 3, zone 4.
Yeah.
Because people, to put it in layman's terms, people have a certain amount to spend on a property and they have a certain amount to rent. What they can do, they can either get a studio in the city centre and have no lifestyle, or they can actually get a 2-bed somewhere else and have a disposable income and a great lifestyle. So we are looking at that sort of market, and a lot of our investors are UK investors. And I feel in central Manchester, UK investors have been priced out. Yeah, I'm not saying that maybe the China market will still go in, but from an investment point of view, which is what we're trying to do, we don't see any potential in it. So we combine with this, and yes, you are buying into something new. You are buying into an area where you can't see a particular comparison with it, but you are building something that's very modern, which I think will stand the test of time. And the way I see properties, that at some point over a good stretch of a distance, that the price per square foot will be the same, but where you're getting in at with this is much lower than you would be if you're buying something that's in the town centre.
Where the location of this particular site, there's no two ways about it. It's raw. Okay, at the moment it's an old disused car wash. But you've got to see where the vision of where this regeneration is going to happen, and what you're doing as an investor. You're getting in at the embryonic stage of the whole development. This is the first privately owned development that's been sold on a fractionalised or unitised apartment basis in South Collyhurst, so which is the area second in line for development after the New Cross area. Well, New Cross, as I mentioned, has already begun. New Cross you're buying at the moment so in excess of £450 square foot. You know, our development's going out at sort of £300 to £310, £320 square foot.
And on that,
so that's where the growth is.
And on that, I've done a lot of research. Like I say, we get offered a lot of developments in Manchester, and I would probably, you could correct me if I'm wrong, I would challenge anyone to find something that's got what this offers within a walking distance to the city centre, and a city centre that's moving towards you for £300 per square foot.
Yeah,
I can't think of anything.
I'd like to say that I know most of the developments that are going on in Manchester, but as you know yourself, there's a lot. There's nothing that comes to mind, if you were comparing apples with apples, new build with the amenities and the thought that's gone in sort of for post-COVID living in this development with the demographic of the renters, there's nothing that comes to mind in a similar location, which is not only just walking distance from city centre Manchester, but walking distance from Ancoats, from Northern Quarter and Noma, and of course Piccadilly and Victoria stations.
Yeah.
In those 4 nodes there that I just mentioned, 4 or 5 places I just mentioned there, that is where the demographic of renter all want to be, whether it's Monday to Friday or even on their weekend. Yeah, okay, they may want to pop down to Old Trafford for the football on a Saturday afternoon, it's 20 minutes on the tram, you know. But everything that they'll be doing day in, day out, work, play, you know, cinema, gym, whatever it may be, is all within a 10-15 minute radius of their apartment.
We're not going to be telling people in a year's time it's going to be worth X amount. This is a sort of, it's a mid-long term.
Yes.
It's a mid-long term investment.
Yes,
it's going to do very well. It's going to help you grow, and obviously from an investment point of view, everyone wants to get the money out what they put in and all that sort of thing. But down the line it is, because I will always say to someone on a phone, well, people always say to me, I want to buy in a certain area, and it's like, well, you missed that area about 5 or 6 years ago. They would love to pay the prices, but they didn't want to take that risk when it wasn't there. So it's about believing in the growth, and the good thing about the Northern Gateway is it is fully transparent on what's happening.
Exactly.
You can see it, you go on any link, Google it, it is happening. You know, so you have got the chance with this development. This is why we're so excited to bring it on. We've got the chance with this development to get in at the earliest stage possible.
Absolutely.
You know,
and this is it. You can buy in New Cross, which is phase 1 now at 400, in excess of £450 a square foot. You'll probably see a return on there a little bit quicker, but you're paying a higher entry fee, okay? Therefore, less capital growth. You go to South Collyhurst, which is Osborne Yard, where you're paying £310, £315 a square foot. I'd say you're looking at a return within 5 to 7 years, allowing for 2 years construction, you know, 3 years for it to mature. Or, if you want to buy really cheap, you can go to the top end of Collyhurst. That's great, but you're looking at 15 years.
Yeah.
So, it's, you know, do you want to be paying top dollar for a quicker return, lesser percentage return in New Cross, or do you want to take, as most property investors do, which is a medium play, which is, you know, 5 to 8 years, invest now and see the growth happen. So obviously growth over construction as well.
Yeah.
15 years, too much time.
And I also think that it's great for that bracket because it's not just an investment led, is it? You know, there is going to be a good allocation of owner occupiers, which the research has shown is what people want.
Yep.
You know, so you're trying to build a community there as well.
We're trying to build a community and almost a little ecosystem within the development itself, because more and more people nowadays, you know, post-COVID, are living and working from home. Of course, living from home, but working from home as well as from the office. So we have a mix of 1-2 bedroom apartments and also some townhouses as well. But as a developer, we're not just trying to sell them all to investors. We are holding back a substantial number of units for the owner-occupied domestic market, which will be sold at a later date, close to completion or even post-completion, to, you know, families, to, as I said, owner-occupiers. There'll also be on the Homes England scheme, which is the new Help to Buy scheme that people would have heard of. So absolutely, we're generating a community within the development. We manage the development ourselves. Every landlord within the development, so all 90 apartments, the landlord will have one point of contact.
Now, I fully get buying at an early stage. I think it makes absolute sense if you're an investor, because that's how all good investors have made money. At the end of the day, you know, buying in these areas, buying in Canary Wharf, further buying in Shoreditch area, buying in M4 earlier. Salford Quays early. You know, that they're the ones that have seen the benefit, not the ones buying at the end.
Exactly.
One of my questions would be, yeah, but if it's a tired old development, am I going to fall behind new modern developments?
Yeah.
And I think this is something that's exciting for us, that you are building something that is very much aimed at the future and where things are going, you know, in terms of sustainability, electric cars even, you know, having one point of call, the fact that more people are going to be working from home later on. So if you just want to run over a few of them features, I think that'd be...
Yeah, certainly. So obviously we've had to adapt, like everyone else, over the course of the last 18 months and this development is no different. We have reconfigured the internal spaces of the apartments to adapt and allow for post-COVID living. So you'll see within the development itself, for the floor plans, yes, there are some co-working areas within the development where, again, it's all about building the community to get people so they're not stuck at home all the time. They can go out, they can work in a communal area from the days that they're working from home and not going to the office, and you know, interact and engage with their fellow residents in the development. So we've got dedicated areas within the development from a communal perspective, but also we realise that when people are working from home, a lot of their time now is spent on Zoom or Google Meets or whatever it may be. You can't do that in a communal setting because of the background noise and the fact that you're talking out loud. So you know, we've realised that you know, you do need your own private space. So what we have also incorporated into this scheme is for all landlords who purchase an apartment about 8-9 months prior to completion of the development, we'll be reaching out to them and asking whether they want a dedicated, bespoke work from home station built into their apartment itself. Now, why do we think this is a benefit? Well, we feel it's going to be future-proofing the development for resale value in years to come. You know, I think gone are the days of people working 9 till 5, Monday to Friday in their office. Certainly as a company, we have adapted.
Same here, yeah.
You know, I'm only in the office now 2, possibly 3 days a week, the rest of the time I'm away. So I think the world has changed, and we're not going to go back to the 9 till 5. So, you know, we have arranged for this. So within the workstations themselves, it's a dedicated area which can be shut off from the rest of the apartment. So on the weekend, you don't feel as if you're constantly looking at your work or your desk. You know, there will be a price tag attached to this. It won't be extortionate, okay? But we're not asking you to commit today to a point of sale. Once we know, as I say, 8 months prior to completion, what the fashions are, what the trends are, what is required, you know, we'll give you a dedicated, detailed specification of what's entailed within that package itself, and then the landlords can pick and choose whether they want to take the bespoke package or not. As well as that, on top of that, we've also got the development itself is going to benefit from. It's going to be very eco-friendly. Okay. Again, we're future-proofing the development just with little things such as obviously solar panels. You know, it's going to have heat source pumps. We're going to have, as part of the planning application, we have to have 4 electric charging points. Well, 4 electric charging points is fine, and we'll of course install them as part of the planning. But we're also, prior to laying the tarmac, we're obviously laying the infrastructure for every single parking space to have an electric charging point. Now, why are we doing this? It's inevitable that we're all going to go electric at some point. Okay. Now, so if and when the landlord or the tenant or the future owner of the property wish to install their own electric charging point at a date in the future, they don't need to do all the works underneath the tarmac or what have you, which are expensive. They literally need to cut a hole in the tarmac and plug it in, and it's all there. So it's future-proofing the development.
Well, that's it, and whether people like it or not, you've got to move the times, and if you've got someone in 2 or 3 years, and we're going to move forward so quickly now,
yeah.
You know, things are changing, you know, in 2 or 3 years, you've got a tenant or a secondary buyer, and you've got a choice of somewhere, a workspace. So when I work at home now, I'm working on the settee with my laptop on my lap, people walking by me, all this sort of thing. If you've got a little space, you've got an electric car, you've got access to an electric car, which is massively important, against something now probably in the city centre where car parking will be pretty defunct because, you know, if you've got electric cars, they don't have that option.
Yeah.
you're going to choose that option. So you're actually thinking far more into the future. And you can't blame people because they didn't know, they didn't spot this, but it's back to the point of you are buying something very good at a very early stage. Nothing's going to come along and usurp you, because you've got over, I think, did you say it's over 400 tenants, something like that, through your management company, and you did a little survey of what's really important.
We did, yeah. So also within the development itself, you'll notice that there aren't all these flashy amenities like gyms and swimming pools and cinemas and what have you.
Which the clients pay for on a service charge.
Which you're going to be paying for on a service charge. But also, our survey of our tenant pool of over 400 residential tenants currently is that a lot of these amenities the tenants do not want. Okay, they won't be utilising. I think the demographic of tenants won't be using. Let's take a gym for example. People don't go to the gym to use a rowing machine or a cycling machine anymore. No. Okay, what they do, they've got personal trainers, classes. Or they go to classes, whether it's boxercise, aerobics, spinning class. Because why? It's a social aspect as well of people's lives nowadays. They go there because their friends are, or they go run outside. They don't go and sit on a bike for half an hour. Those days are fine. So we're no longer having those in our developments, because what do they bring? Increased insurance costs, maintenance costs, and of course someone needs to be there for health and safety purposes, so additional costs, increased service charges. Our survey also produced, what it transpired that tenants would happily go 3 days without hot water, but wouldn't go more than 6 hours without the internet. Okay, well that says it all really for the type of tenant and demographic that you're going to have in these properties. What have we done to overcome that? It's fine. We have integrated into every apartment in the building super fast fibre optic broadband. Okay, now that means that it's already in situ. Okay, so that when the tenant rents the property, from day one, they go in, they're given a code, they're online, they're working, they're watching Netflix, they're watching Amazon Prime, whatever it is that they want to do. They haven't got to sit around, wait for an installation date from Virgin or BT, which is going to be in 3 weeks' time when they're at work and then they're cancelled, etc. They're online. This is the most important thing to
100%,
tenants nowadays.
Well, it ends if you're not online now.
Well, it is. It absolutely is, because it's not just the social element of being online, it's work, as I said, and people are working from home. And you need super fast fibre optic broadband because we're all streaming, we're all on live videos. You can't afford, from a work perspective, to have a dodgy connection.
No.
We have that incorporated into every one of our other buildings. Currently, in our previous building, Insignia, for example, which completed in December 2020, that's the fastest internet broadband service of any residential building in the whole of Manchester, and we'll be incorporating exactly the same, or it's better in Osborne Yard when it comes to time of installation. And
from our point of view, a lot of our investors are, let's say, they're not interested in the management side of it. They're not interested in the day-to-day runnings. They are passive investors. It's just, they've got the busy lives, etc. They're not going to be, or very few are going to be based in Manchester, would have thought.
Sure.
As a company, you also take control of that side as well. Not only do you develop, you take responsibility for the block and everything, the management side of that, so they've got one point of contact.
Absolutely. So, as a developer, we are the freeholder of the site. We are also, so we'll be doing the block management in-house, the lettings and management and block management team. We will also, every single commercial and residential development within our entire portfolio, we have a dedicated asset manager. So, whether it's your landlord or the tenant, have one point of contact, okay, and that's the asset manager. Now, you said yourself, the vast majority of investors are what I describe as cash rich, time poor, okay? They don't have time to be phoning up plumbers, and they don't have time to be phoning up this and that and what have you. They certainly don't have time to start looking up all these different people as well, or scrolling through their phone. So what they have is one point of contact. I'd love to say their name, but we haven't employed them yet because we're still 18 months off plan. But what I say is that you do have one point of contact, and that will be the same person for the tenant and the landlord. Again, what has this done? It's built up a community within the development as well. Everyone is in this together.
Yeah.
You're not your number. You're not being passed from pillar to post or hidden behind. People aren't going to be hiding behind emails. You're going to have the contact details for that one sole person, and then you deal everything with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just going back to the off-plan side, if anyone, I most people know what off-plan is, but if you don't, it's obviously not constructed yet, but that's the bonus of buying at this price. If anyone ever does one, we can show a site, but that's it, it's not very glamorous, but what we do, we've worked with Cert for a number of years now. Plenty of other developments we can show you, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I think
it's not an issue.
You've worked on the last 3 or 4 residential developments that we've worked on. The process, we are constantly changing our process to, as I said, with the COVID, we've changed the internal configurations of the apartments to allow for post-COVID living and things like that. So we are trying to adapt constantly, but the principles are the same. We're always looking to develop sites that, one, a landlord's going to make a return because it's an investment-focused company, but also we're looking for a site that is also going to be attractive for the tenant as well.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's very much about growth, which should always be the foremost in investors' mind, about growth, because that's how you make money.
Yeah.
You don't get rich off yields. Yields grow over time. But again, even now, so when you talk about peelers, it's £440 per square foot. So if you put that in context of a £200,000 apartment in Osborne, that's going to be around about £300,000 in peelers. Now, I believe when Osborne's built, the same rent will be achieved in both.
Yep.
But you're getting the yield on £200,000, not £300,000.
Exactly.
So your yield is going to enhance. So you've got growth, yield, you've got a genuine regeneration, because regeneration word is banded around a lot. That is just going to see this place boom. So you've literally got every tick box, I think, for an investment. It's just a matter, you've just got to be a little bit patient. It's not a year turnaround. There's no assignability because
it's not a quick buck. It's not a quick turnaround. It's not a flip. It's a long-term strategic property investment. I would say 5 to 8 years is the ultimate time. 2 years for construction, 3 years for it to mature, then look to resell. If the time isn't right, remortgage, refinance, whatever it may be. But that's the kind of the investment time frame I would be looking at or explaining to clients currently.
That's that, yeah.
The best example I can give, and we worked on this with residential estate, which is a small development that we did between town and where Osborne Yard is situated.
5-minute walk away.
5-minute walk. Yeah. It's a building called Popworks. Just to give you an idea on what's happened in growth, very similar area to where Osborne Yard was, in line with, wasn't quite where people wanted to be. It was at the start of the regeneration. My colleague from the office, head of property management, you'll get to know him, called Paul Shakeshaft, he bought an apartment for £208,000. In 2018 he completed. He's recently turned down £265,000.
30% growth.
Okay, so you're looking at 30% growth over 3 years. Okay, of those 3 years you're looking at best part 12-18 months of which have been the worst, pandemic, an economic, Brexit, COVID, etc. So, let's just say that. Now, I don't have a crystal ball, I can't tell you that Osborne Yard is definitely going to give those same figures. But if we look at the similar figures from Ancoats, Northern Quarter and City Centre,
logic will dictate
over the last 8 years, logic would dictate that this is going to be a similar line.
Yeah, and that's it, no one can complain at that at the end of the day. I mean, in terms of, a lot of people want to buy, refinance. By my rough maths, if you'd have gone with a mortgage, he's getting his 25% back out if he'd sold it, and then that's where, he remortgage. So now it's good to know, and like I said, we've always been hesitant with Manchester just because of what we're offered, that, we're not interested in what we call sort of an easy sale, with, just obviously we want to get people into something they're going to see genuine growth and profit from, and we're excited by it, so I think it'll be good. And
we are too.
Yeah, thanks for your time, Hugh. And obviously, if you want any more information, we've got all the details. We can go into details about the growth and previous examples, etc. Forecasts, anything like that. Just speak to your consultant. And thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Excellent. No problem. All right.